Hello. Today we're going to make these beautiful little weaving things. So this is one with all of the bits added on the end, looking good like that, turning around, and we have them like this, and I'm going to show you how to make them. So what you need for that are some sticks. We can use the kebab sticks that we used over from last time, but they work perfectly well with some sticks from the garden. If you don't have a garden and you're on your permitted walk, you could find some, and you need to make them into a cross like that. Now you can use any kind of thread for this. You can use just ordinary string and you will end up with one that looks like that. It's less colourful, but it still looks just as good if that's all you've got. You could also use this kind of crochet cotton, which is what I've done on this one. And you can also use wool, ordinary wool. Embroidery cotton, like this sort of thing, also does it quite well. The thinner it is, the more patient you've got to be. But any of those. I'm going to use wool because it's quicker. And I'm going to do a rainbow one, because that's what we're doing a lot of at the moment. So we need our colours for the rainbow, and I've just realised that's the wrong one to pick up because we are starting from the bottom of the rainbow. So indigo will be the one that we're starting with, and violet, but we're going to combine them both to make purple. Now they're always a little bit tricky to start off these. You put your cross make your cross like that, and you're holding it in the middle, and it should be roughly the same. Okay, so not up like that or down like that, but more or less in the middle. I'm not measuring it. Now, if you want to tie this in the middle, you can, but you can also just wrap it around a few times that way. If I move my fingers, you can see that like that. And then a few times the other way, just to get it started. Now it is a bit more awkward. If you're doing this with children, you might want to help them with just that first stage of getting it sorted, or even tie it on or use a little bit of glue if you want to. It's just so you're getting it so that it's like that. It's going down like that a little bit, but don't worry about that, okay? It's fine, that'll come straight as we're doing it. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. You basically do the same thing again and again and again as you go through it. And like anything to do with wool, you need to hold a little bit of tension in what you're doing. So you need to hold it not so tight that it's pulling it to death, but not so loose that it's lying around everywhere, somewhere in the middle. And it does take a little bit of practice. So we're going to take it, and I'm holding it here in the middle, and I'm going to go around. And then I'm going to turn it round to the next one, and I'm going to go around. Turn it round, around. Turn it round. So you're always going to be working on the one on this side. As I'm looking at it now, that would be my right. But if you're left-handed, it might be your left. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter which way around you go as long as you keep it the same. So I'm going over, and then I'm turning it round. And then I'm going over, and then I'm turning it round. I'm going over. Now you'll notice when I turn it round, I'm going to hold it like that, and then turn. Over, and then turn it around. Over, and then turn it around. You have two hands, and you need to use both of your hands while you're doing this. Now as you're going, if I look a bit more closely and shove that there, you don't want to be wrapping it like that, miles away. It needs to sit next to the one here that you've already done. So we're going to go round, and then we're going to turn it, and then we're going to go round next to the one. This is going to be a little bit longer than the pattern, and that's how you get a nice end when you go. So you're turning around and keep going. Now while I just do this and show you how to change colours when we've got started a little bit, I'm going to tell you what these are. These come from South America, and they are called God's Eye, intended to mean that God is always watching you. But they're also in lots of different cultures where you are weaving bits of material, bits of thread, bits of yarn of some sort with sticks. And that would be the beginning of knitting or crochet or anything like that, because you are using the natural things that you have around you. Now this is now yarn and not wool from a sheep, because it will have chemicals inside it. But originally you would have had things from a sheep, and you would have just been using the sticks that you had around you to make something. Okay, right, now you can see that we're creating this pattern here, going around the middle like this. Now you could carry on with the same colour all the way around, but they look really good if you change colour. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to cut. Now I notice sometimes when I'm teaching children, one of the things that they do is when I ask them to cut, they cut right up here, right next to where it is. But a good tip for when you're cutting is always leave yourself a nice long string so that you've got somewhere. So what colour's coming next? Richard of York gave battle in vain. In and vain are both purple. Battle, so that's going to be blue. And I'm going to show you the best knot for keeping them together. So again, I'm going to lean forward so you can see it. Now you can do knots like this. There's nothing wrong with that one, but this is the best kind of knot. You're going to lay both of them next to each other, like that. You're going to turn it around, like that, and then poke both of those through and pull. For younger crafters, you might need help with the knot tying part, because knots are pretty difficult to do sometimes. And if you can't do that particular knot, do a different one. That's the best one for not coming apart. We do want to cut a little bit closer, but don't be too right near the end or you'll cut it off, okay? Give it a little pull to make sure there, and then we need to remember where we were. So just take a little look at it. I should be looking at the back when I'm doing it. So I'm turning it round like that, and I'm going over, turn, over, turn, over. You have to be careful not to get that little end bit on. You don't need to do this over a table. I sat in the garden making them earlier, which was really nice. It's a lovely, nice, quiet craft to do. You can push them down if you do find a space. Now, you can see that as I'm changing colour, our knot is sticking out there, and I know that concerns some people. Don't worry about it. As you keep going, that knot will just become hidden. And if it's sticking out, you just poke it in with your fingers. Okay, so we're going like this all the way around. Now you don't need to watch me doing that, so we will pause the video now and I will move us along a little bit so that you can see what happens when we get a little bit further round. Okay, so we fast forwarded there and we've got all of our colours done. Most of the knots have fallen on the back, but look, one of them's come through to the front. And I'm just going to poke it round. That's all you need to do, just so it looks like that. So we're still going round. We're going to do our last few. We're going to go round. Oh, I'm doing it the other way around this time so you can see it. We're going to go round. Now I'm going to choose which stick I want to finish on, which is going to be my hanging stick. I like this one. So again, we're going to cut with a nice long string. Now, this is sort of a little bit tricky at the end, because if you let go now, it all comes out, and that can happen, which is not what we want. It was quite good when I had a stick. Oh, I haven't got one here. But when you get one that's got a little knobbly bit, say, sticking out of it, that's quite handy for hanging if you had a stick like that. But otherwise, what you need to do is choose whichever one you're going to end up, go putting that through. And then this is how you're going to do it. You've got your string here, and you're going to pull that one round underneath it. Okay, like that. Now you can pull it back up again, but you really need to just go through again another couple of times just to be absolutely certain that you are pulling that one nice and tight like that, and it's not going to come off, and then it will hang up. If you want to, you can wind that around so you get right the way to the end of your stick, and you could do each one in a different colour. So it looks like that. And then you could put a little bit of glue to hold that down. If you wanted to do that so that each one of the ends is like that, you can then tie on or glue on something to hang it up, Or if you're quite happy with your sticks on the end, you could just make a loop on this one by making a simple knot. Again, our younger crafters probably need someone to help them with the knot. And you make a knot without pulling the whole thing so that you can hang it up like that. So it's an alternative one to some of the other rainbows that we've been making. If you want to add a tassel along the bottom, all I've done for these fringy bits is just tie a little bit of wool on and then open it up. If you fiddle around with your wool, it makes this hairy end. You can add a tassel on the ends, just tied or glued on the end. If you have a load of beads left over from some other thing because you do other craft like me, then you can end up with hanging those, stringing those onto the edges, and they look really nice. Add a little bit of weight and a little bit of noise as they're swinging around. If you only have wool, if you only have string, you may want to do one looking like that, and you can felt tip pen on. It's a little bit tricky, to be honest, to felt tip pen on. You have to pull it across. But if that's what you've got while we're in isolation, then that's what you can do, or just enjoy it with that kind of thing. You could stick stickers on there. You could do all kinds of things to decorate all of that. So I hope you enjoyed making that, and you have your trees. They look lovely hanging from the trees. And I hope your gardens or your balconies or your windows are looking fabulous with those. Bye! So these look really nice hanging from a tree, hanging around here, just twirling a little bit in the wind, rattling around on a nice sunny day. Even the plainer one looking really nice there, just in the wind.